There you go.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Liz Trotter, and today I have Pam Clyde co-hosting with me, and we're both really excited to bring on Denai Wolfe. And Denai is going to talk to us today about scaling the smart way. This is like a really big deal. Everybody talks about, especially in the last, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. I want to scale this business. I'm going to grow it. I'm going to, do all these things, but nobody really knows what that means. I mean, they don't, right, Denai?
Yeah.
They don't. They think all it means is I'm going to have a big company. That's all they think. But it's so much more than that. So looking forward to having you tell us all of the stuff. What does your title say? Mine is cut off as well. It says Liz Clean Profit Bit.
Yeah, profit per.
Profit per. Actually, profit per sounds kind of good.
What is profit perfect? But
profit perfect. All right. Pam Clyde, what's yours supposed to say?
Oh, I don't know. Give me a title. No, Virtual Cleaning is my company. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fancy title.
Well, actually, I don't know that I don't think you've ever co-hosted before. Have you, Pam?
No, I haven't.
Oh, so we'll do a quick intro there. Hey, Denai. Denai is always on here, and she always says hi. Most of the people, especially all of our LinkedIn followers, they never say anything. I don't know why LinkedIn is shy, but they are.
Stream into LinkedIn.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And YouTube too, can't you? Or do you?
Yeah, we do LinkedIn.
I knew YouTube. I didn't know LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Facebook pages, 3 YouTube channels, and a LinkedIn. Yeah. Hey, Leanne. Good to see you. Yeah, it's kind of a hassle to do LinkedIn. Just FYI, Denai, it takes a little bit of work, but it's worth it, right? We get a lot of people.
Check that out.
Yeah. All right. So before we get started on this, anybody have anything else that's going on? Heard any kind of cool news? Anything? Nothing? I heard something about the convention that I'm not sure everybody knows. There are no buses running this year, no shuttles. So if you're going to convention, everybody just know that you either want to stay at Bally's, which is the hotel of choice for the convention, because it's an easy tram ride. If you're there, easy walk, easy tram ride, or know that you're gonna have to take Lyft or Uber. Are either of you ladies going to the convention?
I'm not able to this year, but I went a couple years ago, so I'm familiar
with it.
Denai,
have you ever been?
No.
You need to
go. I haven't gone to a business conference, and I feel like I keep getting pregnant, so I've gone in a very long time to any conference.
Well, we got to get you to the ISSA convention. You would be a hit there. Oh my goodness!
I would love it. That's definitely on my list. So
okay, we need to get you on stage too. I think I'm going to be on the committee next year, so I've got you on my list.
This is totally a side note, but I just started working with a brand new life coach, and I just filled out her intake before here, and she said goals, and I said speaking on stage. So that's kind of crazy that you just said that.
Nice. See, you're already manifesting. Good job. Good job. I had a question today. Someone was asking about, Pam, this was in group.
Okay.
Heather was asking about, what was she asking about? Something about
the nurse? Are you talking about that one?
No, the idle. Idle loan.
I may have missed that one.
And we were talking about this with you last week, Denai. So I thought, I'll just save that question for Denai. Actually, maybe I'll go look for it while. Actually, Pam, could you do me a favor? You can stay live. But could you go check it out and see what she asked? She wanted to know something. I was like, we'll ask Denai. She'll know. She'll have the goods for us. All right. And so I don't think there was anything else big going on with convention or anywhere else. So we can probably jump into it. What are you drinking there, Denai?
Just water.
Just water.
Just
I'm
water.
drinking bubble water. I always drink bubble water, and I drink a lot of it. I'm always drinking something. I think I have an oral fixation problem. I don't know. I can't stay away from my straws. All right. So, Denai, did you want to tell us a little bit about you, since you haven't been on Smart Business Moves before? Tell everybody a little bit who you are, and we'll get Pam in a bit too.
Yeah. So my name is Denai Wolfe. I am a financial clarity coach and a profit strategist, which means that I help entrepreneurs like you guys understand the money side of your business so that you can increase profits and decrease stress. Typically, I find with those of us with the entrepreneurial spirit, we tend to be more of creatives. So we tend to not like the number side of things. We don't like to deal with anything with accounting. So I really come in and try to break it down into words we can all understand and really highlight the benefits of it and how it can not only change the trajectory of your company, but also your life. And I'm really
I got to interrupt. I got to interrupt real quick. I interrupt a lot, Denai. You'll see that.
My husband says I do that. So.
No. Oh, good. Then we'll be like going back and forth. All right. So I have to interrupt about one thing. You said you try really hard to make it easy to understand so that for people. And I just want to interrupt and say, I don't know about trying, but you succeed. You do make it easy to understand. So Denai did a presentation for one of our success groups last week, Friday?
Yeah.
Friday. I'm so like, woo. And everybody really loved it. Thought that you made it super easy to understand and made it seem like a lot of sense. So I just wanted to say that for everybody who's thinking, yeah, she says that, but is it really true? No. Really true. So you can kind of tell already, right? So down to earth. Hey, Linda, were you able to find it, Pam? Now I'm going to let you finish those because I found
was it on the ERC tax credit question?
Yes, that's what it was.
Not the EIDL. You said the ERTC, right?
Yeah. I thought she had asked me.
It was an amazing program. I mean, I've literally gotten clients like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
It's a great program. What was her question about it?
So she said she keeps hearing about it and heard that they changed the rules like everything else. Can anybody give us any info on that?
Yeah. So they just made a change. That's probably what she just recently heard. So they were going to have it extend through 2021. And they just, I want to say that was like a week ago. So that's most likely what she heard. They just cut it off. So it's done now. But what the program was, and when I say it's done, let me be clear, you can still take advantage of it for the past due, but it's not like moving forward. We're not using it anymore. But essentially, it's a program. It's a tax credit. And by tax credit, I mean you're going to get a check in the mail from the government for 50% of your payroll for 2020, 75% of your payroll for 2021. I'm simplifying. There's a lot more into it, but that you can literally walk away with thousands and thousands of dollars, and you just amend your payroll forms and they'll send you a check. I was getting checks it goes quarterly. I was getting them for clients about 6 to 7 weeks when the quarter ends. That's majorly slowed down. I just had a client just now get a check for first quarter of this year. So they're ramped up a lot of, that's probably why they cut it off, because everybody's taking advantage of it. But I strongly encourage people, if you have W-2 employees, your revenues are down, you need to look at it. It's a great, great program. And I definitely have, I'm going to search my YouTube because I definitely have trainings on it.
So if our revenue increased, Denai, then we didn't qualify. Is that right?
So you could qualify. There was a lot of changes. Okay. So there's certain quarters where that's not going to be a requirement. It all started the first quarter of 2020, because that would have taken, because COVID, people started getting closed down in March. So somewhere around that March 6th time, certain townships were closing. So around that time, there's all kinds of various requirements if the government made you close, but you held people on. And I have a chart somewhere. I'm going to look through my my content while we're on here, but
oh yeah, if you could show us that chart, awesome.
It's really, I mean, you're going to make a lot of, like, I literally off the top of my head, like I have one client who legit got $200,000.
That's so awesome.
Wow.
Juan, hi, long time no see.
And the
Juan,
check
good to
just
see
come
you.
in the mail. So
Okay,
it's
so Denai, I know that there are a lot of companies out there that you can hire to do your ERTC for you. But most of the ones that I have heard of charge an arm and a leg. How do you charge to do it?
So what I did was, if you were not a client, we would just charge you an hourly rate. And for that, we would explain how all of it works. I've got a whole calculator. We have this. It's a process. Okay. I'm not going to lie. It's a process.
Yeah.
And we just charged people an hourly rate, went over the spreadsheet with them, and then had them go back to their tax preparer to do that. But for people who are our in-house clients, they got lower fees, but we actually filed it for them. But we're not filing for people who are not our in-house clients, but we do all the calculations. So it's very easy for you to just give it to your accountant. It was a very, the needle was moving all the time. It was very tedious. I understand why a lot of accountants didn't want to do it. I don't quite respect it, but I understand it. That it worked for us, that we put the time in, we developed a tool. I've got this Google sheet that auto calculates it. So we did it, but I just wasn't comfortable, you know, signing my name on your taxes when I didn't prepare your financials. And if you use Gusto is a payroll company. They honestly did a phenomenal job with it, and they tracked it for you, and they filed it for you, and they'll amend it for you. They were really great to work with. I know other payroll companies, you can talk to them about it. I don't know like personal experience with it, but if you have Gusto, call them. They were amazing. And I'll have to find my videos on it, because I went through, we did a lot of content on it, because it's an amazing, it really is.
And you're good at videos, so I'm guessing that if you have videos, that they're going to be amazing. For anybody who doesn't know, hasn't worked with Denai, one of the very unique things that she does in her business that my cats drive me crazy, that I love.
And that was like a fur coat.
I know, I thought it was too.
And I'm wearing this big, huge thing too. So it's like, one of the things that she does is every month, correct me if I get this wrong or elaborate, Denai, every month, if you're a client of hers, they do your P&L, they balance all your accounts, they do all of the work, but then they send you a video.
Yeah.
And they send you a video telling you everything that was done and what are the next steps, what you should be working on, the numbers that you should be looking at, and they spoon feed you your accounting work so that you can actually do it correctly without having to take an accounting class or know all of the different things that everybody tells us we need to know. So amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I just signed up.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why Pam is actually on here. Pam, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, where you are, why you're on here.
Oh, sure. So I'm Pam Clyde with Britland Cleaning, and we are based out of the Austin, Texas area, and started my business about 14 years ago, started hiring about 2001-ish. And that was, 2011-ish. And that was kind of a long process to try to get to where I am today. But joined Liz's group about 7 months ago or so. And that's been phenomenal. And then found Denai last Friday. So I'm always looking for ways to streamline and automate and delegate.
And Denai, one of the things that you're going to love about working with Pam is growing like a crazy person right now. How much growth are you seeing, Pam? It's like,
I know, it's kind of crazy.
It's amazing.
So right before the pandemic, you guys, I had dwindled down to just me and one cleaner, and literally in February of 2020. And then when other businesses were shutting down, we stayed open. We actually gained some clients that, from companies that closed down. Had the electrostatic sprayer as well, which it was a big boost. But anyway, we quadrupled in about, I guess, 8 months or something.
8 months.
I mean, like huge growth.
Amazing.
So, and right now you're just still growing.
We are.
Yeah.
Getting
Which
everything in
is
place.
another good reason to have you on here while we're going to have Denai talking to us about scaling, right? Yeah.
And I found on my YouTube, I know you can't drop links in StreamYard unless you know how to do it. I actually don't know.
I do. You have to send them to me.
Actually got a really good question. So she is saying you can't, with the ERTC, if you got the PPP. I know there's all kinds of acronyms here, but if you got the PPP. So Denise, they said you couldn't get both. Then they unsaid it and said you could get both, but you couldn't overlap them. So you really had to strategize to make sure that when you filed for your PPP forgiveness, that you maximized both. And this was something that could be a challenge. And again, why a lot of accountants, again, I understand it, but don't respect it. But you have to make sure that you're strategizing to maximize, to get the maximum ERTC that you can and to get the maximum PPP, because essentially the government is giving you between 50 and 75% refund on payroll you paid. But if you paid for it with PPP, then they're not going to reimburse that. So you just had to work the timing so you legally can do both, but you have to strategize.
Okay. And for everybody who didn't strategize and you're like, oh no, I didn't strategize, that's okay. You will still get money. So
you can go back and amend your payroll tax forms. And if you guys go to YouTube and go to the Profit Factor, that's my YouTube channel, and you'll see it. It was, I think, in March of this year, you'll see ERTC. It says like up to 19,000 per person. And then I have like a download. You can get a free calculator where you can type in your payroll. But guys, reach out to me, send me a quick message, and I can tell you like very quickly if you're going to qualify or not.
Okay, awesome. So you guys all heard that. Pam, help me announce that in groups, right?
Okay,
So that
yeah, I'll make a note
today that makes that happen. Okay, awesome. All right, so I think we did all of our business stuff today. Denai, take us through what you want to tell us about and teach us about scaling the right way, the smart way.
Yes. So I love this topic because for me, with being super focused on the cleaning industry, one of the things that I find, and I'm being very stereotypical here, but in my experience, the bulk of the entrepreneurs I encounter, it was really a business that was built out of necessity for flexibility in their schedules. Most of the time, I'm speaking to women. Most of the time, they were mothers who were leaving a corporate job because they needed that kind of flexibility because they were moms. So that's usually what I'm encountering. And they're like, I didn't know what kind of business to start. I wasn't sure what my skill set would be as an entrepreneur. And I thought, well, I know how to clean. It's usually the story that I get. And what happens is you start this service company and it snowballs, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you are completely running an empire. And in that process, that scaling, I call it growing pains. There's a lot of growing pains that happen because sometimes I meet entrepreneurs who are like, no, I set my eye on the prize. I was going to build $1 million business. But usually people are like, the phone started running off the hook and it snowballed. It usually kind of accidentally happens because you guys are selling something that I consider a necessity. I think it back in the day might have been more so a luxury. But today your average family is understanding that they need help with this stuff. So definitely a current theme in society. People are talking more about spending more quality time with your family and, outsource the cleaning. So it's become more mainstream, and especially with COVID, right? I saw my firsthand experience. I'm only one person, so I'm stereotyping, but most of the cleaning businesses I encountered exploded during COVID. And it was really sink or swim there. They either like obliterated themselves or blew up to a level they never really thought possible. And what happens is when you all of a sudden scale, and you maybe go from, a couple $1,000s a month in sales to now you're hitting 10, now you're hitting 15, 20. And all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, I believe you said, Pam, quadrupled where I was. That's a very different business, right? So what you were running 4 months ago might not be what you're running now. It's completely different, and you can't treat them the same way, right? So that's saying what got you here won't get you there, right? You have to operate
book, by the way,
differently. What'd you
great
say?
book, great book, by the way. Marshall Goldsmith.
And I think that I'm never good at remembering where I get the quotes. But I think that in this process to scale, these growing pains can really make or break you. First of all, they take an emotional toll. It's a mental toll. There's all kinds of things that are going on when we kind of, amp up like this and end up with a business doing quadruple what we were before. But what we have to do is grow in a smart way, because I have seen too much business destroy a company. And it sounds impossible, but it's very real that someone could scale too fast and they crumble because they weren't built for it. And that foundation, just like building a house, that if that foundation isn't rock solid, and now you start all of a sudden adding on, you're adding all of these additions to the home, it's going to crumble because you didn't build the right foundation. And what we want to do is we always want to make sure that we're on solid ground and that we are operating our business for the company we want tomorrow, not the one we have today. But what happens is, a lot of us have heard that, right? What happens is when we say that, immediately people get into this shiny object syndrome. And what happens in the cleaning industry is we get into this idea of, okay, well, I want to be something I hear all the time. I want to be $1 million cleaning company. It's like, that's the goal. That's what we're chasing. That's what we want to do. They don't really know why they want to do that. It's like a badge of honor. They want to do that. So now they're coming from a place of, well, I need this, I need that, I need this. So what's this, that? I need a fleet of cars wrapped in my logo. I need 2 offices. I need an operations manager, a virtual assistant, a field supervisor. They need all these things, because it went from this business I'm starting for flexibility with my kids to, oh my God, I'm a boss bitch. I need all this things. Like it really, it's 1 minute, it's, oh, I just want to be able to pick up my kids from school, to, domination. Like they it changes very quickly. And for some reason, the solution is to throw money at the problem.
I know why though, Denai. So
I would love to know why.
Yeah, I know why. Because and this is all over the place. So we talk about this a lot in group. When people don't know what to do, what to get, what to ask for, the answer is always money. Because when is money wrong? If you have a problem at the store and you're angry, what do you ask for? Do you ask for anything other than money? No, you ask for money. Even though money is not going to make you happy. You're going to get all your money back and you're still going to be just peeved, right? Because money's not the answer. But we always think money's the answer. So there you go, Denai. That's why we always think money's the answer.
Yeah. And we hear money at our problems. And what I always tell my clients is, money won't fix your problem if the problem is you. So if you are unable to balance your business and save and be profitable at $10,000 a month in revenue, when you get to $100,000 a month in revenue, you're still not going to be able to save and be profitable, because the problem is you. It wasn't that I need to go down and chase more revenue and get more sales and get more clients. That's not going to fix it. That operations manager isn't going to fix it. That VA isn't going to fix it. You have to fix it. And when you are running everybody's cleaning companies, right?
No, actually not all.
Service-based. Okay.
We do have some other service, but I do want to say one thing real quick before you get going, is what we tell people when they're in that situation, exactly the situation that you were just talking about, is if you're not profitable at $10,000, you're not going to be profitable at $100,000. Here's the thing, y'all. You're going broke faster at $100,000 than you were at $10,000.
You're doing more damage.
Yes, you can hold on longer to a $10,000 company, right? But at 100,000, it's harder, faster, it's worse. All right.
Yeah, the damage is much, much more.
Yeah.
So if you're able to, from the beginning, right, when we are dealing with service-based businesses, if you guys are product-based, a little bit different, but
all service,
perfect. So when we're dealing with a service-based business, we are going to have a significant amount of money going out the door right off the bat, just in order to make sure that we pay the service provider. Now, it might be you, it might be one of your cleaning people, it might, whatever industry you're in, but somebody had to fulfill the service, right? It's not a product situation where if you sold 5 products or 1 product, right, you just hit the machine. Like, it's not a factory like that, right? So it's a bit different when we're dealing with service-based. Usually, we're going to see between 50 and 55% right out the door, just in order to make sure that we paid the cleaner and had the cleaning supplies. So now what's left of that piece of the pie is what has to pay for everything else. So until you reach a certain point, you have to make sure that you can pay for all of those other things. Well, what are the other things? They're all of the operational expenses. So the key to running a successful service-based business is keeping those operational costs at bay, because there's only so much we can do at the service costs, right? I mean, I can guarantee you, if you're trying to give your cleaners a 20% cut, no one's going to work for you, right?
Especially not today.
Right. And regardless, whatever service you are in, if you are underpaying the service provider, you're going to go out of business. So if you have standards of the type of service that you would like to provide, the reality is you've got at least half going out the door for that. Maybe you're pulling off a 40, 45%. If you're below, I would seriously evaluate your service standards. So when you're dealing with that, you've got to keep those operational costs low. So you want to essentially say, if it's $100 that the customer pays me and I have 50 going out the door to what I'm paying in service and supplies, I've got $50 left. I need to look at all of the operational expenses and divide them by 50. If I cannot comfortably do that many services, I need to lower those operational expenses. And if you're in a situation where you are running, let's say $10,000 a month in revenue, and you cannot afford your operational expenses, don't say, well, when I get to 15, I can, or when I get to 20. No, I want you to say, why can I not sustain at 10? Why is my operations not streamlined enough? Why do I need these cars, this office, this VA, this ops manager? I'm just thinking of all the different sucks that I usually see, the expense sucks that happen in a cleaning industry. But for most service industries, it's usually some type of a support staff, not the service provider, right? The support staff, so your VA, your admin type people. What is going on operationally that you need this many hands in the cookie jar? And I'd rather see you spend your time and energy and money in figuring out how to run efficiently, because running efficiently and getting those operations streamlined is that foundation that we talked about at the beginning. That's the foundation that you're building everything on. And that's how we eliminate the need to try to throw money at these problems, because we've got this solid base. And in COVID, a lot of people were forced to let go of support staff. And a lot of the entrepreneurs had to step in, and they stepped in and they're like, oh, well, if I send, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Zapier, like if I send a Zap, I just eliminated, 20 minutes that the VA did this. Or if I use this app, or you get in and you start streamlining. And then what happens is you keep that foundation. And when you do get to 100,000, you're going to be way more profitable because you have these proper systems and infrastructure in place. And if we come back to a place of always saying, I'm not going to throw money at the problem, I'm going to figure out how to solve the problem, you're going to build that foundation. Because too often I see service providers with a really small piece of the pie. You should be getting at least 20% as the owner. Now, I have certain entrepreneurs who say, I will take 15 and I will throw an extra 5 into ops because I want to be completely hands off.
They're like, Sarah, she's talking about you. Sarah, you're on here, Sarah. She's talking about you, right?
Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff.
Yeah,
like, I'm a very passive owner. In those situations, I am on board with it because I do believe that time is our greatest resource. So if that's the situation, but usually what will end up happening is we talk a big game about how we're going to take less so we can invest in this team and they're going to run the company. And then we're in there anyways. And now we're making less money and we're set like,
oh my gosh, so true. You're so right, Denai. That happens all day long.
All the time. All the time.
God. Yeah.
So it's
I do have to tell you one thing. I want to tell you one thing is we had an event. Oh, I don't know. When were we in Vegas, Pam?
End of June, I think. Yeah.
End of June. Okay. So our strategic success groups went to Vegas. And one of the things that we did was actually, Juan, you were a
sponsor.
A sponsor at that event. Thank you for that again. But one of the things that we did was the people that were at the event, they also had to participate by presenting. Okay. And I wanted to tell you that one of the things, the reason I wanted to bring this up is when Pam got up to present on what she did, we were all blown away by the amount, not kidding, by the size of her business and that she only had one person doing any of the admin, and it was her, but she had so much done in the way of automation and making things happen that it was just like, everybody else was like, I don't understand. How are you doing that with only you? And she was like, automation. And she never even looked really stressed out or anything. So that piece really mattered. I really liked how you mentioned, the zaps and how you can automate things so that it's not one person just grinding it out or multiple people grinding out all of these complex systems. Also that's another thing that this industry is notorious for, complexity, making everything so freaking hard. And I love that you simplify everything and you're really big on this idea.
It has to be. Guys, this stuff is not easy, okay? Running a business is not easy. The majority of us are women. So let's be serious. There's a whole lot going on at home. Like, we have other stuff going on, and it is what it is. I think a man compartmentalizes. They go to the office and whatever, they're checked out. Like, we're working and we're like, ooh, did we pack morning snack? I don't remember. Right? Did I put the gloves in the backpack? We got just stereotypes here, but
you're so funny.
It's true though, Pam. Who compartmentalizes as well as I do? I mean, like usually something big bad happens. I think it was Monday. A close friend of ours committed suicide. I was on the call like half hour later, and I look pretty much exactly the same as I look right now.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked.
because
I know that is this
I'm
men
very much a man.
compartmentalize very, very well. That's definitely one of their skill sets.
Right.
So you're
Yeah.
lucky that you have that. That's not the norm. And I think when we're trying to do something that's already challenging, why on earth would you make it harder? So when we're complicating things, I think sometimes we build it up in our head that, well, it's got to be this complex situation because that just means it's fancy or it's legit or
legit.
no.
Yeah, good
I have
job.
seen service providers who charge thousands of dollars and they're like, here's a Google sheet, like here's my intake form, it's a Google sheet. And I'm like, she really didn't overthink that. Like there are certain things that do not need to be a 20-point system that went to 50 different people. And no, we can automate. And if you cannot find an automation for a specific process you want in your business, maybe you need to reevaluate the process. Maybe there's a reason that there's not an automation for it.
Repeat that, Denai.
Process. If you can't find an automation for a process you want to do in your business, maybe the process is the problem. And that's the reason why there's not it's just not a smart way to do it. And I think a lot of that can be us reinventing the wheel, right?
Yep.
We really don't want to do that. We want to, who is the leader in the space? First thing you should always do, who's the leaders in the space? Who should I be listening to? And take a little bit from this one, take a little bit from that one. I'm not saying one person should dictate the way you do everything, but get your bits and pieces, do your research, and we all internalize things differently. We all have different, like as micro as you might be more productive in the morning and you might be more productive at night.
Absolutely.
Don't reinvent the wheel, stay true to what you are. And maybe at night is when you do this stuff. So you really have to find what works for you, but throwing money at it is not going to be the solution because now you're working more than you ever have and you're broke. So now you're not happy. You're not in a good space. And there are all kinds of stresses in life. But in my experience, there's stress and then there's financial stress. That is stress on a very, very different level. It's very isolating. I think you will pick up the phone and say, I'm in a stressful time in my marriage. I'm a stressful time in my motherhood. It is a little bit different to pick up the phone and saying, I'm in a stressful time financially. So we tend to get very isolated about it. People don't talk about it. It's very faux pas, especially if you're an entrepreneur, because now it's not my job is going through stuff and I'm getting taken down with them. It's I was steering this ship and I steered us wrong. So there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of issues with it. And it's important, just like you would worry about your regular health or your mental health, we got to think about our financial well-being. And when we get this shiny object syndrome and we're just swiping that card and spending, and let me do this, let me do that, take the time to step back and say, money isn't an option. Okay, I'm not going to pretend that's a solution. I'm actually going to fix the problem and figure out how can I run things more streamlined? Because if you are not keeping 20% in your pocket, you should go back to the drawing board and really dissect the daily operations of your service-based business.
All right, I'm gonna argue that a little tiny bit. So just a little bit though. Sometimes, and this happens a lot with people that I work with, they are looking to grow much faster. And so they're willing to spend more money up front, take a similar to Sarah, we talk about Sarah, they're willing to reduce their profit margin methodically. And so
that would be, I believe you are talking about investing.
Yes, exactly. And they'll invest that profit. So, but they're doing it strategically.
That is scaling strategically, making a conscious, I actually have a live training, I think it's next week, on investing versus just spending on your business. So that is very different, right? So when we're investing in our business, we are spending that money with the hopes that it is going to make you money. When you're hiring a VA, you don't think that's going to make you money. You are thinking, I have to, otherwise I'm going to be drowning over here with so many tasks to do. So investing is very different, and making a conscious decision to take a lower margin to invest in the business to scale faster all about that. I'm talking about when you're just scaling so quickly, you have lost control of it and you are throwing money at it.
Yes.
If you're making a strategic decision, all for it. That's what I want you guys to be doing.
Absolutely. All right. We have two things. We got a question here for Pam from Diane, and we'll get that first. And then I have one more thing. Go ahead, Pam.
Okay. So Diane's asking, what do you use for automation? And let me think about this a second. But so all the estimates that come through, I knew that me as one person could not take all the calls and return all the emails and come up with all of those solutions or all those estimates. So I actually got ResponsiBid for that. And that's huge. So I can handle 169 estimates a month, for example, and not have to do it myself. Bamboo HR, I have them for all my
Bamboo HR.
Yeah, so that streamline things. It reminds me of the employees' birthdays and whatever else.
Yeah.
When it's time to get their their drivers, their car insurance up to date or whatever. For social media management, I'm using a foreign VA service called One Virtual Solutions, and they're based out of the Philippines. They're amazing with their graphics, and they handle all my social media management, so I don't have to lift a finger. So, and then I do have a hiring platform that I use, Woot Recruit, and they've automated all of my applications, and I just have to show up for the interview. So those are just a handful of some of the things that I use to automate.
She has a ton of stuff.
I do.
If we automated, the gal is automating it. And now you just signed up you're signing up with Denai, I know. Mm-hmm. And you also just signed up for Made Central.
Made Central, yeah.
More things to automate and to reduce the amount of time that you have to spend on things, right?
Absolutely. Especially payroll.
Time,
nightmare. Yeah.
Because when you're able to reduce the time on those sort of tasks, then you can get back to your zone of genius, because an app can't do what is your zone of genius, right? They're not going to be able to mirror that. But if an app can do it, and somewhere someone has figured out how to literally make a robot do it, why would you spend your time doing it if it's something that literally an app can do? Because we need to get back to strategizing and being able to have that bird's eye view. So many entrepreneurs cannot, see the trees through the forest, whatever that saying is.
Yeah, forest for the trees.
They're lacking that bird's eye view of, let me, fly up here, look down and see what are all the moving pieces. We should be looking at our companies as a chessboard, and we need to be strategic in how we're moving them. But I can't do that if I'm on the board just trying to get through the next move. Like, you're not getting this upper level view if you're stuck in the weeds doing all of the things and just keep trying to write checks to people so that they can start doing all the things. Well, why don't we change the way we do the things so we need less manpower to do it?
Right. All right. So I want to give a little bit of definition to this word strategic. So it's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and everybody's like, yeah, I know I am doing it strategically. I'm doing it because of this, that, and the other. So this is the definition that we use in strategic success, is that you make the plan to do the thing before you do the thing. If you do the thing and then later you're like, yeah, but this is why, that's not strategic. Strategic is make the plan before you do, and consider all of the things. How much money is it going to cost? What is my return going to be? Strategic is make the plan in advance, figure out all of the things, and then take action on the plan, if it makes sense. And then this is another key piece for us in strategic success groups. Check in with your freaking plan every week. Check in. Jim Rohn said famously, for those of you that know who Jim Rohn was, he used to say all the time is, how often do you weigh the baby? If you got a baby, you weigh the baby every day. You don't have to weigh an 18-year-old every day, but you have to weigh the baby every day. And the thinking there is, if you are launching a new strategic initiative, you have to check in all the time, regularly. Don't just say, this is what I'm doing, bam, and then walk away and do something else. This is not strategic. All right, I gotta I got to hammer on that because strategy is my bailiwick there, and it drives me crazy when people are saying they're being strategic when I'm like, yeah, not so much. All right.
Caught in the
I'm off
whirlwind.
the soapbox. Yes, right. They're in the whirlwind. They're totally in the whirlwind. And I'm like, stop saying you're being strategic when you're in the whirlwind. All right, I'm off my soapbox for real this time, Denai. Although I have like 20 soapboxes, so I'm off that one.
But I think if you guys are able to sit down and really, I'll just tell you what I recommend. And obviously, if we've already highlighted the differences. If you're going to be making an investment in your business, obviously an investment is something that would be short term, right? We're not going to see this all the time. But essentially, for service-based business, I'd like to see 55% max going out the door to fulfill the service. I'd like to see about 10% going to marketing. I'll tell you guys right now, if you are one of those talented and gifted individuals that is able to have an organic marketing strategy, go for it. But I encourage you to think, if I have that and I spent 10%, what could happen, right? Just ask yourself that. But some people, you really just, it's a machine. You have enough deep roots with a bunch of different network groups. You don't need to do it. But I'd like to see 10% into marketing, and then 15% everything else, and then 20% is going to be your profit. Now, those of you who are taxed as an S Corp, quick caveat with this. We're going to take the percentage of your paycheck that your payroll company is paying you. We're going to add that to the profit. So you might be like, oh, my profit is only 15. Well, if you took a 5% paycheck, you're right at the 20. But that's really how I like things allocated. Again, this is all going to be individualized, right? So you might say, nope, don't need to spend 10% in marketing. Okay, so this is where we're going to strategize, right? We're going to sit down and we're going to determine what are these buckets. We're putting 55% into service fulfillment. We're putting 5% into whatever it is. You're going to lay it out, and then you are going to operate within those confines. And this is where you have to be able to be in touch with what's going on financially, because if you only have 20% to spend on something and you're looking to spend 25, where's that 5 coming from? Because if you can't cut elsewhere, I'll tell you exactly where it's coming from. It's coming right out of your pocket. And now you're going to bring home less money to your family, less money to your personal situation. And this is how that resentment, these feelings of failure, all the thing just starts brewing. But you could have prevented that by maybe even it's a situation where you could have said to the vendor, hey, I really want to do this. I want to spend this money. Can I separate it over a couple months? Can I get on a payment plan? There's all kinds of things that we can do if we are actually trying to do things smart and looking at them and not flying blind. Too many people are completely flying blind because they're just not in touch with these numbers.
Okay, you hit another one of my soapboxes. See, you're good, Denai, you're good. All right, so I was recently at an event, Foundations. Real quick, before I get into my story here. For those of you that are regular Smart Business Moves watchers, when Denai is talking about service, what's the term you use? Service fulfillment?
Yep. So cost of goods sold, everything.
That's what we call COGS on the show, y'all.
Yep.
Right. So that's what she means is COGS. All right. So I was at an event and at Foundations, and somebody was talking to us about their money, their EIDL loan, their PPP, and they had spent half of their EIDL money and didn't know where it was. Didn't know where they spent it. Don't get sick. Don't get nauseous, Denai. But
they're gonna. You have to hand there's a whole other component to that because the SBA mandates you have to hand those in March.
Yeah. So
I'm getting itchy.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is when we're talking about knowing where your money is going, and a lot of times it's even And what Denai keeps talking about is if you're having the problem at 10,000, you're going to have the problem at 100,000. This is what she's talking about. That, and you can dig yourself into bigger and bigger holes. The problem is a lot bigger at 100,000, 500,000. You want to have $1 million company?
Big trees fall hard.
Bigger, bigger, bigger. Yeah, I like that. Big trees fall hard. That's great. Let's see. I see Linda has a question for you.
I'm thinking she probably means DIY.
She does.
Okay.
I
do. That is Profit Perfect. So that is our course. Usually people will start off doing it themselves, and Profit Perfect gives you the foundation to do that. It's got an entire tech tutorial library that
I find it. Profit Perfect.
I can give you the link. I can't drop it.
If you tell me where to find it, I can go get the link and I can drop it.
Okay. Yep. I can send it to you.
Maybe send it. Can you send it to me in chat?
I know. I'm wondering if I can send it I'm pulling it up right now. I'm wondering if I can send it I don't know. You
might be able to post a comment. But if you give it to me, I'll post it to all of the pages and all the groups.
It worked there. I put it in the private chat.
You did? All right.
Yeah, that's really the approach for those of you who are like, I want to get the money stuff under control, but I'm not quite ready to outsource. This would be a great fit. And those of you who are ready to outsource, it's a good fit if you just want to understand how it all works. So I'm building a house right now. I literally, I'm not building it myself, but I've watched so much information on it because I wanted to walk through and be like, okay, is that what it should look like at this phase? Like literally just thinking like, okay, was the plumbing supposed to go before the electrical? Did he do that backward? Like, I don't want somebody to just yes me to death. And did I want to get a construction license? No, but I wanted to know what was going on because they could be feeding me a whole lot of fluff. So I always think that you should just semi-educate yourself enough to hold a conversation and know what's going on. So if you're just looking for financial literacy, this is totally going to cover the bases. We get into everything, LLC, S Corp, how to pay yourself, how to say all the things. And it also has the plus of, if you want to implement yourself, an entire tech tutorial library of QuickBooks Online. Yes, Kelly loves Profit.
And who is Kelly? Tell us who Kelly is.
Kelly is one of my absolute business besties. So she is actually local to me. Literally, I would say.
Where are you?
We're in Delaware.
Oh, Delaware. Okay.
Yeah,
so
we're in Delaware.
Yeah.
And she's a cleaning company. She's a freaking powerhouse.
Nice, Kelly.
Really, really impressive. And she's another one, a mom who was like, I need flexibility. Like I can't do this 9-to-5 type stuff. And then her story, I'll just share this really quickly. She built a very successful cleaning company and she was doing all the things. And she was like, I got into this because I wanted flexibility with my kids. Yeah. So she sold it. She was like, I'm out. I'm not doing it. Oh, wow. And then she took the time to learn automations, and she a brand new one started up.
Nice.
And now, she's one of our best success stories. She has that stuff on lock because of all
I love that.
That's
Kelly,
great.
We're going to have to get you on Smart Business Moves to tell you.
Yes, she would be a good one. She would be a good one.
That
She'll
sounds.
be on my show December 1st, I think. December 1st.
All right. We'll have to. All right. So where are we going to find your show, Denai?
I do live content every Wednesday. Okay. This week, today, we did how to talk to your partner about money, like your significant other, not like your business partner. Yeah. But we always do some type of financial training, and they are getting streamed into our YouTube channel, which is the Profit Factor. Okay. They also stream into our private Facebook group, which is also the Profit Factor. And then we also pull the audio and put it onto Apple Podcasts, which is also called the Profit Factor. Basically, everything's called the Profit Factor.
That makes it nice. The Profit Factor. It's nice and easy there.
Yeah.
Profit Factor. All right. YouTube, the Profit Factor. You guys just check it out everywhere.
Apple Podcasts and the Facebook group. That's where all the stuff is. And we do live training each week on Wednesdays.
All right. And what time on Wednesdays?
1 p.m. today. I pushed it to 2 because building a house and we had an electrical walkthrough and it ran way over. So
And that's 2 Eastern, right?
1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Normally 1. Okay.
Yeah,
So
today it was 2.
10 o'clock Pacific, y'all. We have time zone people. 11 o'clock Mountain, 12 o'clock Central, and 1 o'clock Eastern.
Oh, you're good. See, I could never. I could
Okay.
create a balance sheet, but what you just did, no.
I know.
Yeah.
I have to do it every single day. So I'm getting really, really good at it. All right. Well, any last things that you really want people to know, Denai, to make sure that they can be successful as they scale? We've got 4 minutes here.
Yeah. I want them to really know that you are in a very profitable industry as service providers, right? There is margin there. This is not an industry. Some industries, I'm like, it's a little challenging, right? This is not one of them. Don't overcomplicate it. You have to be very careful with every penny you spend. And I strongly encourage you to build a budget, right? We're going to decide what your percentages are going to be, and then you're going to stick to it. So if you decide you're spending 15% on ops and that actually translates to $5,000 a month to operate your business, I probably wouldn't hire an ops manager and pay her 50 grand a year. Because you have to make sure that not only do you set a budget, but you stick to it. And that's, that accountability of coming back to it. I think there's too many service providers who are, it's just entrepreneurial poverty, and they're exhausted and they're crying on the phone with me and they're so stressed out. And if you guys take anything away from today, I want you to know, like, it doesn't have to be like that. It does not have to be like that. There is money on the table. We just got to rearrange the way you guys have it going out the door. It's coming in. I know that entrepreneurial spirit. We're hustlers. We can get those bookings. But once the money comes in the door, we got to be smart about how we spend it.
All right. So Denai, I like what you just said. If we have people that we know are struggling financially and they're afraid to call anybody because they don't want to tell, like you were saying, right? They don't want to talk about it. And some of our people are ostriches. They don't want to tell anybody about it because talking about it will make it real. So it's scary. Are you able to give them specific advice on what they should be doing in the next month to get themselves in a better spot? Or is it more like, all right, here's the number, here's where you're having problems. You're spending too much in operations. You have to reduce that by 5%, or do you tell them specifically? Like
the very first thing I want you guys to do, if you are someone who's sitting here saying, I'm not comfortable reaching out to Denai, I'm like embarrassed, whatever your situation is, I want you to pull the last 3 months of your bank statements. And I want you to sit down with a glass of wine and a highlighter. And I want you to go through every single transaction. And that means you're going to have to go to all the places, right? So if you've got 8 bank accounts, you're going to have a whole lot of statements, which is also going to be another wake-up call for you to simplify, right? I want you to go through every transaction. First thing we're going to do is say, how much is it costing me to actually fulfill the service? What is that cost of goods? It's going to be the first thing you guys calculate. If you are over 55%, you need help. Okay, we got to fix it. You got to go back and see what's going on there. Then the next thing I want you to do is I want you to look at all of your recurring charges. So that might be any softwares, anything that you guys have that you know you're on the line for. The reason why I like to start there is because I can't tell you how many times people go, oh, I thought that was a free trial and I didn't realize they're still charging me. Happens all the time. So we're going to go through, we're going to look at all of the recurring charges. Now, start that pattern of where you are spending your money. You're also going to then look at what are the one-offs. So they're not recurring, but hey, I went to Staples, I spent $350. That's not something I'm going to do all the time. Well, what did you get? Think behind it. Look at all those one-offs, reevaluate them, and start creating budgets. Here's how much I can do operationally each month. And if I need a one-off thing, something I don't usually do, I now know I spend no more than $250, a week on miscellaneous. That's how I would start. You got to print those bank statements and see what the heck is going on.
All right. So Denai, I'm going to put you on the spot here real quick, but next month we're talking all about budgeting. So is it possible to maybe get you on next month to talk about budgeting?
Yeah.
Either a Monday or a Wednesday. I'll hit you up offline. Which one?
Wednesday, because I'm efficient, guys, and I already have to do my hair on Wednesdays. I'm not going to do it on Monday. So we're going to stay efficient, and we're going to do Wednesday.
Sounds great. I'm going to hit you up with Wednesday dates that I have open, and I'm going to get you on for budgeting. I think that's going to be amazing. All right. For everybody that is afraid, you're afraid to call, you're afraid to do the thing. Denai just told you the first 3 things to do. But even if that is too scary, then what I'm going to tell you is just call Denai. You see how easy she is to talk to. You see that she's already talked to lots of people in at least as bad of a spot as you're in. At least as bad of a spot.
You will not shock me. I promise you.
You won't shock her. You will be able to get help, and you can be done with this feeling. I know it's scary, but get over it and just be done with it. All right. We are up for today. We're a little bit over. Sorry about that, y'all. Just a couple of minutes. Hope it was worthwhile. Thank you all. And we'll see you next week on Monday.
Bye, Denai.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Liz.